Well, hello, my name is Neil Hamilton, and I'm a professor of law at Drake University and the director of the Agricultural Law Center here. And it's a real pleasure to shoot this video in support of my friend Tom Vilsack to be the next Secretary of Agriculture in the United States. And I knew the governor well during his time here in Iowa, and in particular, I want to speak to what he has done on the issue of food policy. You know, in 2000, Governor Vilsack issued the first of what would be 3 executive orders creating the Iowa Food Policy Council. That made Iowa only the 2nd state in the nation to create such a council. I had the pleasure of chairing it during the 6 years that it was in operation, and the council was a wonderful addition to Iowa's food landscape. It was a real, I think, illustration of Governor Vilsack's leadership and his understanding of food policy, one, to create the council, and 2, to accept the recommendations that we made during that time, and to act on a number of those recommendations. In particular, the council was very helpful, I believe, to the state, and I'm sure the governor would attest to this, to helping improve the food assistance programs in Iowa. But in addition to the leadership of creating the Iowa Food Policy Council, the governor was also instrumental in helping create food policy councils in a number of other states. The Agricultural Law Center sponsored a national conference on food policy councils, of which the governor was a speaker, and at that he took, I think, to some extent, the unprecedented step of offering to anyone who was in attendance that he would write a letter to their governor explaining to them how valuable the creation of the Food Policy Council had been to Iowa and why they should think about creating one in their state. And I know that a number of people in the audience that day took him up on that invitation. And so the governor wrote letters to a number of other governors, his counterparts around the country, encouraging them to create food policy councils. The reason I think this is so important is that as the Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack is going to have the opportunity to look at that broad range of issues that affect America and our food system. And while much of it depends on agricultural production, in addition to food policy related issues of nutrition and hunger assistance, supporting local foods, farmers markets, organic production, all of those additional issues are important. And this man understands the idea of food policy. I think that many of Secretary of Agriculture's may have had in the past wouldn't have even understood what we meant by a food policy council, whereas this person has created one, endorsed it under 3 executive orders, helped create them around the country, and really benefited, I believe, from them, and appreciates how having that broad spectrum of input from various people across the food and agricultural sector is so important to agriculture. In addition, one of the other final aspects in the last year of his governorship that Tom Vilsack implemented was to work with Drake, and in which we created a program in which we detailed one of our employees to the state government under a pilot program, worked for 6 months in the General Services Administration, looking at how the state goes about acquiring food. And that was to follow up one of the recommendations of the council to look at creating an Iowa Food Products Coordinator, someone who works within state government, helping see how we can use public funds to support local production. And that pilot project led to a series of recommendations, and was one of the final press conferences when Tom was governor here in Iowa, was to endorse and hand on to the next governor this idea of creating a food products coordinator for the state. So it's a wonderful honor and opportunity, certainly for Iowa and for me to be able to endorse Tom Vilsack. I encourage anyone who is concerned about food-related issues to look at his record, to understand what he did here in Iowa to help raise the issues of food policy to a higher plane, and to spread that to other governors. And I know that he'll take that type of understanding with him as the Secretary of Agriculture. So thank you for watching.